Your hair is suffering from high growth fatigue and how to spot it. Well, when your hair follicles are damaged due to excessive water and excessive moisture, when your hair constantly swells and shrinks, it can cause high growth fatigue in the hair because your hair it's going to constantly swell and shrink as it absorbs and releases moisture. So some of the symptoms include, for high growth fatigue, some of the symptoms include frizzy hair, tangled hair, brittle hair, dull hair. Okay, it's not shiny. Kind of weakness, if it breaks easily, could be high growth fatigue. If you have a gummy, tacky, or sticky feeling in your hair, it could be high growth fatigue. Or excessive dryness, when your hair is just not holding on to any kind of moisture, any kind of products or anything, is just constantly like it's evaporating. It could possibly be high growth fatigue. So how to spot high growth fatigue in your hair? One thing you could do is, if your comb is getting stuck, if you have a wide tooth comb and you're combing through your hair or you detangling your hair, and then it's constantly, like, say for example, okay, because I have curly hair, clearly, okay, and after I detangle my hair and it's a wide tooth comb, I should be able to still comb through my hair with the wide tooth comb. If a wide tooth comb is being stuck or getting stuck in your hair, it could be possible high growth fatigue with your hair. Okay, that's one example. Another example is, you can do a stretch test. Like, you can take one strand of your hair and then one single strand of your hair. And then what you want to do is you want to pull the hair until it breaks. Okay. Now, if it breaks as soon as you pull it, like you're pulling it and it just pops, that could be high growth fatigue. Your hair is weak. When you take your hair, that one single strand, when you're doing a stretch test, and then you're constantly pulling it, and you pull it straight, and then it takes forever, it takes a while for it to break because you're constantly putting pressure on it, then your hair is stronger, it has enough protein in it, so it's not breaking easily. But if you do the stretch test and then, because you do a stretch test and then you can stretch it and your hair will stretch a little bit because it's supposed to stretch. But then after you constantly stretch and then it just pops instantly after that stretch, it's weak. If you stretch it and it kind of stays, and it doesn't break and it's like staying together after that stretch, and then it breaks, then your hair relatively is healthy, has no protein, and it's not weak. You have stronger, healthier hair. Okay, so with high growth fatigue and the porosity. If you have high porosity hair, you're more prone to experience high growth fatigue with high porosity hair because of the amount of cuticles, or the type of cuticles that's on high porosity hair. The cuticles on high porosity hair, they are open and they allow more moisture to come in the hair and to exit the hair. So then the fact that the cuticle is open and then moisture is allowed to constantly flow in and out of the hair cuticle on high porosity hair, you be more prone to high growth fatigue. With low porosity hair, will not be prone to high growth fatigue because you have more closed porosity, or low porosity. You have closed cuticles on low porosity hair, so you don't have to worry about the excess moisture and swelling and shrinking of the hair when you have low porosity. So you don't have to worry about high growth fatigue too much. I'm not saying if you have, for example, have low porosity hair and then you're coloring your hair and bleaching your hair and all of that, then that will change the structure of your hair. So you could get it if you're coloring and bleaching and all of that. But just natural, normal hair that's untouched virgin hair that's low porosity, you will have less tendency to get high growth fatigue. So let me try to break it all the way down, okay, to understand that. So, causes of high growth fatigue is, one thing, over conditioning. Um, I am. I need to stop doing it my own self. I would literally leave conditioner on my hair, overnight, like deep conditioner, keeping it fully saturated, keeping it in overnight, going to sleep with conditioner on my hair. I need to stop doing that, but that can be a sign of high growth fatigue when you over condition your hair. Air drying, same thing with air drying. I had to recently start back diffusing my hair because like taking forever to dry and my hair would stay wet for a long time, and I did not want it to go into high growth fatigue, so I started back drying and diffusing my hair. So pick up those habits, curly hair people. The air drying, y'all gonna have to get some diffusers and change those habits because you're gonna have to start back drying your hair. Another cause of high growth fatigue can be genetics and heredity. We all, based upon the hair that's in our families or based upon the hair that we're given from our parents, it could make us either more prone to high growth fatigue by genetics and heredity. Being unhealthy hair care habits, being harsh when you're styling and detangling your hair. It can cause damage when you're doing detangling or styling your hair. Excessive shampooing, constantly getting your hair wet can cause high growth fatigue. Uh, the frequent exposure to water. If you're a swimmer, you're constantly washing your hair. You're constantly trying to get the chlorine out of your hair. The more frequent you swim, you can cause high growth fatigue. When you go to the gym and you're constantly washing your hair, every single day, every other day, you're not drying it, then it could cause high growth fatigue. That's why it's kind of important for you to make sure you're drying your hair to try to combat the high growth fatigue, because you don't want to get high growth fatigue or have water damaged hair. You don't want the gummy feeling. You don't want your hair to be weak. You don't want your hair to be brittle. So you have to make sure you look at your habits to make sure you're not causing high growth fatigue in your hair. So one way to repair the high growth fatigue is to give yourself protein treatments and to add protein to your diet, because once your protein is in your diet, body breaks it down, and you have enough protein in your diet. The extra protein is going to, of course, go to your organs, your bones first, muscles, skin first. Then it's going to go to the additional parts of your body, which would be your hair, your nails, teeth, other additional and more external parts of your body when you add it to your diet. But you also can just do protein treatments for your hair. But if you depending on the level of high growth fatigue, if you're looking to repair it, then you may need to do protein treatments on your hair and also add protein to your diet. So make sure you dry your hair completely when you dry it. One thing that I chose not to do or not to use in the my curly hair routine is use microfiber towels. They really didn't work for me. When I dry my hair, I use a regular terry cloth towel and I just lay it on my hair and I just squeeze the water out in like large sections all over my hair in order to towel dry my hair. I don't rub the towel and I don't use terry cloths towels, and I don't use t-shirts either. It's not getting enough water out of your hair. When you're styling your hair and you need to add more water, just add more water. But when that initial point of contact, when it's time for you to dry your hair after you have shampooed it and conditioned it, you need to go ahead and just dry it. Not dry it completely, but get as much water out of it as you can before you apply the products. Now, while you're applying the products, if you need to spritz it or add more water, just add the water later. But initially, you need to make sure you get as much water out your hair as possible, because you can always just rely on your products because they're for moisture and hydration. So just rely on your products to add the moisture and hydration in your hair versus you trying to leave the water in your hair. Just try to get as much water or the excess water out as possible so you won't have high growth fatigue. Okay. Another thing is throughout the week, try to make sure your hair doesn't get wet. Like basically the high growth fatigue comes from the constant wetting or the excess wetting and moisture of your hair constantly. Like when you wash your hair, some people wash their hair every day. They're probably putting their hair into high growth fatigue because you're washing it every day. Now, if you're doing the entire routine every single day, you're washing it every day, and then you're blow drying it and heat styling it and everything every day, you need to make sure you go and pick up some either repairing products or either change your routine, your hair care routine, to make sure you don't damage your hair. The more you mess with your hair every single day from start to finish, from the washing, the shampoo, the heat, the dryer, the styler, everything else, you tend to damage your hair unless you use some kind of products to help combat the damage. And then one last thing is to just use a shampoo with a lower pH. Because one way to actually combat the hydro fatigue is to watch the pH or the acidity of your hair. You want to try to lower the pH so then that way it'll kind of combat like the moisture, and then also you don't want it to get any bacteria or anything like that in your hair or in your scalp, because bacteria and germs can basically they live pretty much any and everywhere. So don't think, oh, just because you have hair, you don't have any kind of germs, bacteria living in your hair. It's very possible. Okay, so that would be the end of this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any other video suggestions, or if you have any other questions about hydro fatigue or any other kind of healthy, holistic hair care tips. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.